Welcome into the show, Jarek Tadla. How we doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm great, man. Anytime I get to talk to somebody who's built great wealth but cares more about the inner game than the outer game is always a good conversation to be had.
Yeah, that's the only conversation we should have, actually. Because
Yeah,
that's what we always like. In the run to get something financially freedom and financial success, and we forget, who we are.
yeah. Yeah, one of the things that I was fortunate to have some really good mentors early on, and I saw two kind of groups of people. There were the people that were financial killers in their business and have built great wealth, but they were bankrupt with their wife, with their kids, with their health, with their, pretty much everything outside of money. And then
I
there were
love
the
it how you say it. Because I always tell that we can always go bankrupt, from within. Because
yeah,
even when you go through divorce or you go through like a, huge trauma, it's suddenly people say you go bankrupt because they assigned the financial security, but we go first bankrupt right in here and right in here.
100%.
And then it shows on the outside of the outer world. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So I was fortunate enough not to lose when I hit the bottom of the bottom. I even quadruple my net worth, but it's important. I
Yeah.
lost myself and the pain was enormous, and how many men we lose through depression. We never talk about it.
Yeah.
And nobody talks, like nobody, even the seminars with the outer wealth sell like this. If you talk about, like, emotional fitness, emotional intelligence, the inner wealth, nobody want to talk about it. Like, I'm not paying to go to the seminar to learn about that, even though they don't realize the inner wealth help them to get the outer wealth. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It just goes together.
Yeah.
But in the chase, we just forget about it. We just lose focus.
Right. Yeah. And then obviously the other group, which is, people like yourself, myself, where we're, millionaires and intentional in our businesses on our balance sheet, but we're just as intentional in our marriages as we are with our kids, as we are with our health, as we are with giving back to others. And that's what I call the whole life millionaire. And so I know that's been a journey that you've been on for many, decades. You've amassed great wealth in real estate. You've got all different kinds of businesses and opportunities, but I know you care more about your inner game, your family, your wife. And so I want to talk a little bit about your journey to maybe that rock bottom first, and then when the awakening was and what that looked like. But obviously coming over as an immigrant from Poland, talk about your journey and how you, kind of started off in America. What led you to this entrepreneurial starting point?
It's funny that when I moved here, I already won by moving here.
Mm,
Being immigrant from another country, this country got so much to offer, and me wanting to come to here for so long, that's like it's right there. I just won everything I wanted. Okay, but then look at my family and look at everything around here. Like, I knew I'm not gonna waste this opportunity to take advantage of it. And I really never, ever, still now, 31 years later, I still don't take this country for granted. And the opportunities here, and how many people, like, everybody here's help you, walk you through, give you a hand. It's like, hey, let's do it this way. We're doing this way. We're doing this way. When in other countries that I run businesses, is the other way around. Everybody want to keep it for themselves. It's like a secret. There's, like, what I mean? You don't share it because then you make less.
yeah.
This market is so huge, humongous. There's everything for everybody, and I was fortunate to take advantage of it. Since I was a little, I was selling bottles, empty cans. Like, I always was doing it. Then I was doing the cars. I always knew from day one, even when I was going through college, not even knowing that I'm ever going to live here, that I never want to work for anybody. And
Mm,
remember, I'm coming from communist country when everybody works for government.
right.
But I knew it. This is like, yeah, I'm not going to do it. But our system got broken in 1981. So, then there was a lot of opportunities, so I already, like, I'm not working for anybody. I'm not going to have a 9 to 5 jobs, even though in the beginning, that's what I needed. I started as a dishwasher, waiter, then, busboy waiter in the kitchen, the manager, and just move my, up the ladder. And then when I accumulate enough wealth in real estate, I just, move on and run my own,
Well,
my
I
own
know.
ship.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about that, but I think there's some important lessons along that journey, especially for a lot of people who, are thinking that, the American dream and, America is broken and it's gone. And obviously you've got some different perspective coming from a communist country, different opportunities, and seeing those two polarizing differences. What is your message to the people that are hating on America right now, that don't believe that it's the land of the free and the opportunity?
It's funny. 2 weeks ago on Friday, I'm in the middle of like one of my biggest deals of my lifetime, and the market lost $2.8 trillion, and it's like people are like, how do you do this? Like you just going all in on this. It's like I never cared. I do everything in my bubble. I do everything with my own world, and it's like we created by listening to the other news. Like I walk out of seminars where they when they talk about recessions, like when the COVID happened. I walk out of the seminars. They're like, why are you walking out? I'm like, because now you guys talking negative text message. I'll be back. I just listen to the room when the conversation starts because I don't want to fit into it. I don't want to get like, but you have to be aware of what's going on. Well, you do need to be aware of it, but at the end of the day, it's the work you do every day. Because you cannot become a victim of the market. You cannot the victim of the media. You cannot, because then what happens is first you put this into yourself, and then you put in your business, and then everything is struggling. So I was always able to turn off. I call it turn off the noise. You know what I mean? I know I'm aware of it, but I don't have no TVs, no radios, no even the feed on my Instagram, on my social media. It's no political like right now, because what happened is media wants you to hear and get you on their side, but the media, nobody else cares about your family, about your kids, about your health, about your mental health.
Damn right. Yeah.
About your emotional health, about like all the struggles we have to struggle anyway. And on the top of the noises, I call it noises from outside world, is not needed, because we got to be the leader in our own company too.
Yeah.
And the second you start believing in those informations, you're gonna start taking to your own. I call it your own bubble.
Your own bubble.
I never listened to those. I never. And I got a lot of haters for it. It's like, well, you have to be aware of what's going on in the market. You got to be aware of what's going on in the world. I'm like, I do. That's why I'm the voice for the suicide, because I almost commit suicide, and the mental awareness. But at the same time, the world doesn't care about me. You know what I mean? I gotta, the only thing, we are here to serve, not to get anything. And anytime when you get in the game, you get higher and higher. You just like, you have the expectation, I deserve this. Yeah, I deserve this. Like, no, we don't deserve anything. We'll learn to serve, not to get. And then, the entitlement comes, and all the mental games started. The devil comes into your head, and the voice gets clearer and clearer and louder and louder. And then like me 2 years ago, and I'm in suicidal mode. You know what I mean? And that's, I got a huge wake up call. And I know everybody wants to talk about the outer wealth. Everybody's like, yeah, let's talk about money. Let's, how do we do this? How do you do that? That's fine. But there's on the top of the one mountain, there's another mountains. And there's actually a lot of mountains that we as the man have to climb.
Yeah. I was going to say, I mean, obviously you're somebody that's amassed a lot of outer wealth and success. And that takes a lot of, mental fortitude and stamina and endurance and grit. And you would think that, most people would think, they're not susceptible to those types of thoughts or feelings or emotions. How did you end up where you found yourself 2 years ago, and why?
I went 5 years ago through very toxic divorce. I went through a lot of struggle, and I hide my entire life. I was hiding. I was always sedating with the good things. I was sedating with work, overworking. But by society rules, Jarek is good. So Jarek always kept the poker face. Then I was sedating with working out. I was doing, training for Ironmans and doing Ironmans, triathlons, and all this stuff. And I was working out 80 hours a week. Again, I was constantly running from hiding from the stuff that is still hurt me. I have all those unresolved traumas. But I was always looking to look for the love and validation from the outside world, where my inside world was getting emptier and emptier and darker. And at 2020, on the end of 2021, it just got me. It just literally got me. I couldn't get out of the bed. And it's funny. I made huge amount of money in COVID. I made huge amount of money in 2008, but the same thing, huge amount of money in COVID. I found a queen of my life. I'm completely like everything. I have a 7% body fat. I'm in the best shape I've ever been, but not here. Not here. Constantly looking for the validation from outside that I'm enough. I got this. I got this. But the poker face got it to me. And it's like, no, no, you don't have it. You think you have it. The whole world thinks you have it. But yet I didn't have it because I was hiding. And you can only hide for so long. You know what I mean? It gets you to the point that your body is like atomic bomb waiting to explode. And really, it was the little thing. It's just we reach the threshold that is the little thing that just boom, you explode. It doesn't take nothing major. I didn't have any major event that it happened. Like in 2008, when I almost went bankrupt, but I turned everything around and I just made all my money. 2016, I got ski accident that almost cut my leg. 2020, divorce. 2020, COVID, and none of that even shook me. I'm good. And then I'm the top of the top. And then like, if this happened to me, I have no issue. I have no really problems. I have no really something that I should be even worried about. And I cannot get out of the bed. And it's funny, I always made fun of everybody that, like, you have a depression, get out of the bed. You fed, go to the gym. You broke, open a business. I have no empathy for people. And
I think that's relatable to a lot of people that are hard chargers, right?
Yeah. And then, oops, it happened to me. All of it overnight. Like, you know what I mean? And it's funny, like I built myself for 30 years, yet I crumble in a few weeks. Because then it was the stories, it's the stories were just getting worse and worse, and the voice was getting louder and clearer. And I'm like, what just happened to me?
And there were no catalysts that you could pinpoint that were the dominoes that led to the downfall?
Nope. Absolutely. I just got a regular flu. I just stayed 2 days in bed, and 2 days become 3 days, 3 days become 4 days. The only thing I can think of is it was truly I ran out of my routines. Like I'm a really routine guy. Like I don't like I go on vacation. My routine on vacation doesn't change when I'm at home. Like I come from vacation, really relaxed, reset, bulk, like shredded, like, I don't gain weight. I read the same, I pray the same, I work out the same, I do make the same phone calls. Like my vacation's my life, I make heaven on earth. And suddenly when I went away because of the sickness, it just got worse, worse, and worse. And that's the only thing, that's how it started. But I can't believe it how quickly I get there. But I think it was just a wake-up call because I really couldn't believe it. Somebody can complain, well, I got fat, I'm overeating, or I have a problem with alcohol after divorce, but because of the awareness of the whole family and how, all successful, like I'm very addicted. I mean, if I'm addicted to success, I knew I'm going to be addicted to winning in sports. And then I knew that when alcohol showed up in my life, because I never drank, I started drinking very late, like age of 30. When alcohol showed up in my life, like after divorce, like in 3 months, I was like, holy cow, I'm going like 120%, like everything I do in life. So I put even alcohol away, all any any drugs or any edibles, like everything. I was completely clear on the top of the mountains, and I just lost the purpose, the fulfillment that I'm not needed here anymore. And the voice is like I've done everything I could do.
And because, what did that work look like when you knew there was an issue, and you had obviously all of the resources available at your fingertips in the outer world?
That's funny.
What did that look like?
A lot of my coaches, because I spent millions on self-improvement, like literally, like I have many coaches. It's funny. I was hiding. They didn't even know, and I have all the resources, all the tools, like everything in like right here in my hand. And suddenly I got stupid. Like I didn't know how to use them. I just like, I didn't know how to use them. You know what I mean? I got too lazy. Can you imagine? I was so lazy that I have my boat ready with the scuba diving tanks, so I can go in the middle of the ocean and just go for the dive and just, that's the easiest, the quickest that. I was even so lazy to get out of my bed and walk 100 yards to my boat. And then I have to ride the boat because I cannot take my captain. I mean, what am I going to tell him? Like, yeah, he's going to lose his shit, right? It's ridiculous how lazy we get, and the voice, it just tells you like exactly what to do. And I really got delusional because when you go to the negative spot, when the negative space, the negative voice, it doesn't stop. It's like I always found the most negative things, I always found positive. And suddenly I lost it. You know what I mean? Because I was always hiding. My positivity was always in get more, prove to the world, prove, get something, win this, get this. And when there's nothing else to climb anymore, you kind of like, what next?
So where did that inner wealth game begin for you?
I think it was when my queen took me out of the bed. It's like, you know what? I already know that you're losing your shit. And she opens the blind and I lost on her. Like literally like lost on her. I didn't recognize myself. Like it was who the hell, like, the words I was using, the screaming and the yelling. And I get out of the bed. Went for the walk. I came back. I kind of felt like I look at the sky. I was like, holy shit, like, what are you doing? I went back to my bed and I'm like, all the people that are looking up to you, remember, like I have people that work for me 30 years. I'm very fortunate. I have very good people and I have people that work for me like over 30 years. And like those people count on me. If something happens and I have kids, it's like, and the work started. But it's funny. First, I have to start with the little wins. Like I went for the 100-meter walk. It just get out of the bed, brush my teeth. Just the little things, just the little, and everything, because I have to bury it all the other, the one that does 100 miles on the bike, swim 3 miles a day, runs 10 miles a day, to those little wins, because I have to forget about him because I could not compete with him anymore. Mm. That guy was gone. So the little wins. But then when I finally kind of got out of the bed and got up, I mean, I was still in the deep, deep depression, but I'm like, what does it mean? And that's when the work started, because what happened is when you go through all the pain, you start asking the right questions. But first you have to hit the bottom of the bottom. You need to know that you want to learn, that you don't know what happened to you. You don't know what happened to your, suddenly the positive voices that always motivate you and you're very ambitious and disciplined. Like, I don't know anybody who's more persistent than me. Like my perseverance is unfreaking believable. Like when people, you do this great, that's what you're supposed to do, right? No, nobody does that. No, that's what you're supposed. No, but to me it was normal.
Yeah.
So then I just went to work and I started asking the different questions. I didn't even know how to on the beginning to ask the questions, and when I become vulnerable, when I really start crying, and it's like it's like, what the hell? It's like, we thought you got all the shit figured it out. I'm like, no. And when I realized like how many people I'm helping, even my own friends and everybody else, my coaches, and it was like, it's like, even right now, it's just the beginning.
Yeah.
It's because we are men, we are not allowed to talk. We're not allowed to cry. We're not allowed to express ourselves. We're not allowed to vent because then we're weak. We have to provide. We have to inspire, but we got to shut up. You know what I mean? You can still inspire, but still have bad days. I mean, even right now, I mean, I'm still like, when I tell people, it's like, I still struggling to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. What the fuck you wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning? What's wrong with you? Well, that's what you do, right? Like, what do you mean? Like, you don't work, you don't do nothing. You can get up at 8. What? At 8, I eat lunch. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just the hard things you do. And we cannot share our vulnerability because then we are weaker, so society treats us like, like he's losing his shit. But yet when you're drinking and when you're doing the other stuff, oh yeah, that's socializing. That's all the other stuff. Even though we all do it, a lot of us do it. I'm not saying everybody. At least I was doing it just to hide the pain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did you hire, inner spiritual coaches? Were you reading books? Were you listening to podcasts? Like what allowed you to kind of really start to swing the pendulum back in another direction and start outside of, it sounds like, talking and creating spaces for conversation, keeping curious, asking the right questions, doing the work and implementing new things into your routines that help serve the inner game? Like what did the tactical side of those routine shifts look like for you?
The most important was being the awareness started, and truly is just calling my friends and telling them that I'm lost.
Mm.
And they didn't, and because I have my bubble, like, it took me years to develop my bubble and my resources around me and my network. It was weird conversation because people never have conversation like that with me.
Yeah.
The conversation was like, which season we're taking on the Super Bowl, which which plane are we taking? Where are we going on a vacation? Are we with super yacht? As the conversation completely changed, like, what? Dude, I don't sleep. I'm struggling, like, with the not enoughness. I'm horrible. I'm a horrible human being. Like, I have this suicidal thoughts. Like, what? You have this too? And then, oh, I talked to this guy, talk to this guy. Okay, read this book, it's like when you become vulnerable, suddenly like everybody else, like you connected on different level.
Mm.
Where before it was like, you only talk, it's like, hey, I did this $100 million deal. Well, this 50, I'm working on this. You know what I mean? And suddenly when I become vulnerable, that's when the whole thing shift, the whole life shift. And it's funny, the best advices I got from people, they were not in the wealthy department at all.
Right.
They were like freaking happy as fuck, and it's like, enjoy the life. I always tell people, it's like Buddha, like, all the monks, they don't go to billionaires like, hey, help me, I'm unhappy. But all the celebrities, all the billionaires go to the Buddhas and monks, like, I'm unhappy, help me out, because they
Right.
know they got everything within them.
Yeah.
I mean, and I really felt this void, this hole inside me. And I have this pain that I couldn't figure it out. Like, you know what I mean? Like I went to the doctors, I had tested, I got done. And it's like, dude, like you healthy, like you 50 years old, but your body, like I run all the tests from Europe for this. Like your body is like, you like 27 to 32 years old. Like you are, but I have this pain. Like, you know what I mean? And it
Yeah.
was the void, the emptiness, because I was, I was huge people pleaser. You know what I mean? I just do this. So, you know what I mean? So it's so the, people like me, so people don't find my insecurities and all this stuff. So
Yeah.
it's the hiding, it just caught up with me.
Yeah,
It's
I can understand that. I think
yeah.
there is a very interesting dark underbelly to wealth building and the desires behind it. And I think there's always ways that, we as humans can create some narrative that supports our reasoning behind why we do what we do. At least let's just keep it in the context of building wealth and getting rich and living a great life. But oftentimes too, I find that a lot of people, their intentions behind why they want to do it actually aren't aligned with what they deep down inside their soul really want. There's an
Right there.
there's an incongruency there. And when you're out of alignment, on those things, there's this push-pull dynamic that eventually, like you said, something's going to break if it's not aligned. Life is going to get really bumpy and turbulent at some point, just like, tires on a car. If you've got two tires out of alignment on the car, the ride is going to be a lot more bumpy than when all of those tires are aligned and you're moving, in synergy to where you're trying to go with that destination. So I guess my question for you is, do you think, or what's your advice to people when you tell them around like the intention behind why you're going to try and build wealth and the reasoning for it? Is there something to be said for that, so the other symptoms of building wealth don't catch up to you at some point because your intentions weren't pure or aligned in the first place?
You know what? My word is right now, that It's funny that you're asking the question, because when you find your inner wealth and you really start working on yourself, all the outside stuff is abundance. It start coming, and you're
Yeah.
like, I like, one of my coaches like 6 months ago is like, when I'm praying, I'm telling like, God, why me? And my coach was like, just say thank you. Don't say like, why me? Where's all the abundance coming from? You know what I mean? But what happened is when you start first, when I have wrong intentions. Exactly. I was going from all the wealth, to prove the world, and this was completely wrong intention, that I'm enough, that I
Yeah.
can do this, that
Right.
I'm worthy. But on the top of the day, you look at all the wealth, I wasn't worthy because I was empty inside.
Mm.
And when that's what I even with my kids, and this is, you know, I always want to leave legacy,
Yeah.
but that was my goal for my kids, for everybody. But the only thing I did in my life, I left inheritance, nothing else. My kids, my grandkids are set for life, but there's no legacy. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I can guarantee you, my kids, my grandkids would not talk to about grandpa, about this, about he did this, he did this. It's like the only thing I was working on, even though I always want to give my kids something I never not I never had. I knew that's not what I want to give him, but that's the only thing I was working towards. And I was keep saying, I want to give my kids, I want to teach them something I never knew at their age.
Mm.
But yet I was a dummy because I was always chasing something that I didn't want to, I mean, believe me, I'm really fortunate and I'm really happy that what I accomplished. But leaving legacy is not materialistic things. It's not a building with your name on it. That's inheritance. The legacy is like, if there's like, I was with one of my coaches on a boat, and and they were talking about the grandfather at the dinner table. And that didn't happen once. It happens a few times. And then the children, like his children were talking about grandfather, this, that grandfather, not because they didn't know the grandfather.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is legacy. And that guy was no financial value whatsoever. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just leaves, that's legacy,
Yeah.
not the inheritance. You know what I mean? Because the inheritance is like what happened to me. The money get into you. Because
Yep.
the second men are when we are men comfortable. And again, I'm talking to men, not women, because I don't know how women think.
Yeah.
The second we learn that we freaking comfortable, we lose our shit.
Yeah. It's
Like
true.
we gotta be uncomfortable all the time. That's why when I start doing my routine, when suddenly I become comfortable, the pain wasn't going through me. You know what I mean? It's like it's I start losing my shit because my life become like I start like it's
Too
over.
cozy.
Yeah,
Too
you know what I
cozy,
mean?
too comfortable. Yeah, I know. I
Yeah.
get it. It was to that point of legacy when I was talking with one of my wealth managers. He brought something up a few years ago that I, at that time, I'm 36. So I was maybe 32 at that time. And he started talking about posterity planning when I started talking about legacy wealth. And I was like, what the fuck is posterity planning? Like I'm talking about, the X's and O's of how to manage my real estate portfolio, my hotels and this and that. And he goes, no. These are like the life lessons and the values that you want to carry forward, not just with your kids, but with your grandkids and the lineage of like, what do we stand for in here? What do we think of up here? And as a result, right, we create physical realities throughout those generations. And it was just something that, got me thinking a little bit differently of, to your point of going, it's not just what we leave behind, in an estate plan, in assets, in your companies or a balance sheet, but like, what are the real values and qualities and characteristics and tools and skills that you're handing off to the people that are coming behind you?
Yeah. And especially when when our kids gonna go broke, and I mean, like not broke, but they're gonna have some kind of trauma that happened in life, you know what I
Some
mean?
kind of hardship.
Some kind of hardship that is, it's like, how do we prepare them for it?
Yeah.
Because
Right.
I wasn't prepared at all,
Yeah.
at all.
If
And
you were
then
to if
what?
you were to speak
And
to your kids on that note, what are you telling them on how to prepare them, or other parents or other, kids listening right now? what do you say to those individuals in terms of, from your own learning lessons, how, you know, they can build the right qualities and the right mindset, the right approach to navigating and succeeding, not only in the outer game, but in the inner game?
Well, like right now, I just realized the outer game's result of the inner game. A lot of people, I got lucky. And because I got lucky doesn't mean the general, it's a general rule. Because, I work hard and I'm resilient, I have perseverance. It doesn't get you anywhere. At some point, it's going to catch up with you.
Mm.
Okay. But being prepared when, teaching the kids how to fail, just letting them know that everything in life is temporary. Nothing is set in stone. You know what I mean? Like remember, I can relate with my kids because of the divorce. It's, guys, this was your bubble. That's the only thing you knew.
Mm-hmm.
And suddenly your life is different. You have 2 homes, you have 2 parents. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is like it's unfortunate, but I tell them, use this. It's like you going to life, going through this hardship. It's a huge event, and how do you use it? Like, we all broke. Like, I have all the tools, and that broke me. Being like 46 years old man, like, that broke me. So now imagine for the kids.
Yeah.
They are scarred for life. So first I got to heal that and help them to, the awareness. But mostly it's, I really we have a lot of conversation how everything's temporary, and mostly talk about the feelings and emotions that was never allowed in my house.
Mm-hmm.
Never. Feelings and emotions are not allowed, especially during men. My father, my grandfather, they never smile. They never laugh. Never. This was like a poker face. So I was like everybody thought my entire life that I'm miserable, that I'm this stuck up asshole who is rich. When I broke the guard, around me, I went to Starbucks coffee. Like, the guy, you come here for like last few years. That's the one Starbucks coffee open at 5:00, before my run. We thought you the stuck up motherfucker, and you just the nicest guy ever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Suddenly I smile, I pick up the conversation. I was like, it's when you start like healing and you start finding the work and finding that what you need to do in order to succeed, because that's the wealth. That's the wealth to leave to our kids. When you broke down, when you fail, when you lose the business, when you lose wife, when something happened, when you lose the parents, the parents.
Mm-hmm.
How do you do and don't fail and become a victim of the circumstances? Just get up and move on. But it's hard to do it in the head. You know what I mean? You need the faith, you need the prayer, you need to be, you see, everybody talks about IQ. Nobody talks about EQ. Nobody talks about emotional intelligence. It's like my kids, like, I get upset, like, I'm really bad about schools because, the reason is because 40 years later, my kids are learning exactly the same thing what I was learning. Like, the world move on. The train left. I'm getting excited when I'm talking about it. Yet nobody talks about it.
Yeah.
Like, emotional intelligence, emotional fitness is everything. Being aware of it, like, all the stuff that's going on, and it's going to help you everywhere else.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's just teaching this stuff. How you feel, what you feel, why you feeling like that. And being able to just discuss those like failures, like, how does it feel to be a failure?
Yeah.
Why are we doing this stuff?
Do you have any regrets looking back that you would love a do-over at, or any regrets or lessons that became great teaching moments that others could learn from without having to make those same mistakes?
I wish that God hit me a little bit sooner, when my kids were born. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I wish I would have, that I have kids a lot, that I would do the work on me before I have kids. But I cannot get back. But you know what? There's no regrets. I am where I'm at. We all are in the stages we're supposed to be.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of conversation I have with my kids, with my queen, or with even at work, in my office, in my businesses. Sometimes, like, even a week ago, I make this decision based what I knew. 3 days later, or even a week later, or years later, I would do it differently. But still, now I have a different perspective, different experience, and now I have different lessons. Plus, I evolved.
Yeah.
So I would do that decision, but we cannot regret the decisions that we made. I mean, I don't live in the past and definitely don't live in the future. The biggest thing I just teaching my kids and even like people in my office, be in the present. Let's deal what we have to deal with, because we cannot predict the future. That is not miserable, and we definitely cannot be in past.
Mm-hmm.
And I always tell, that's my queen, always tells like, Jarek, why don't you give the same advice to yourself when you're giving to everybody else? I'm like, babe, it's so hard because I carry all the garbage, all this stuff. And it's funny when I step up out of my head and I out like look at myself as a witness, as an observer, it's
Mm-hmm.
easy to give the advice.
Yeah.
So that's why we are easy to give advice to anybody else, because we emotionally unattached. And that when we do a lot of inner work and we learn how to unattach ourselves from the decisions and emotions and feelings and make the decisions on the conscious mind, that it's the world changes, man.
Yeah. It's
It's,
always
it's
it's always harder to, take that advice when what is the quote of, when you're in the frame, it's harder to see the whole picture. And when you can pull yourself out of the frame and look at the picture, right, it's easy to like zoom out and really give some, unbiased advice that probably we ourselves should be taking most of the time. And I know obviously you've got a lot of great inner advice and, wealth building inputs for people. And I know a lot of people don't know about the People's Choice Apartments and how you've built your wealth successfully. Because at the end of the day, even though you had some challenges at certain timelines in your journey, you've been very successful along the path. What did it look like
I
to
got
go
lucky.
from a
I got lucky.
dishwasher?
I got lucky.
And you did, but you were in the arena, right? You bet on yourself, you took those risks, and that risk obviously led to some luck, and you executed. And obviously you've
You
done that
know,
over the course of 30 years. So how did you transition from being a dishwasher and a server to somebody who owns a significant real estate portfolio and it has amassed a ton of wealth in business?
it's if you told me 2 years ago that you're lucky, I would lose my shit.
Oh, really?
I would lose my shit.
Tell me
And now
more.
I know.
And why do you say you're lucky now?
And now I don't. Now I am, because I can't believe it how fortunate I end up, and how many good people was around me to give me good advice. Uh
Which is obviously a
it,
reflection of you, though.
yeah,
You're surrounded by good people. You must be good people.
that's what even my coach is like, Jarek, even when you got like divorced, you were not at home alone. You got always like somebody, like your friends. You did something good. Oh yeah, because everybody look at me. I'm wealthy, so but I have all the great people around me.
Mm.
And the same thing in my companies. Like when I built in Colorado, and 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 um, I like, when you're looking back, being in a business 30 years, like all the decisions I made, like how it brought me. But you have to, like, I didn't get lucky being on the train, because you got to get the train moving.
Mm.
And then the right people come in, and the right decisions, the right deals come in. You
Yeah.
cannot just sit on the sofa. You cannot. I was flying my private jet like a few months ago, and I fell asleep, and my CEO make a deal with another guy for $130 million, and I woke up like, whoa, what do you mean? What just happened? And my son was sitting. I'm like, did you see what just happened? I'm like, this guy would not be on this plane if he did not do the work and he wasn't moving, because he would not have the opportunity. So we constantly got to do the work. And it's funny, like, I don't want to repeat the inner work, but we got to constantly work and move forward and bring value, and then how everything else around grows. And my mindset was, well, I never took this country for granted. I always have the reason I say I'm lucky, because I always have good coaches, good people, good friends around me. That, of course, we always have takers. We always have
Yeah.
people that drain your energy.
Mm-hmm.
But some I also have a people that give me the energy, give me the inspiration. I always had I have not, I was always in self-improvement. I always try to be the dumbest in the room. I always try to sitting in the seminars, just learning new seminars. And I always have the hunger.
Yeah.
My hunger never stopped. Like, I wanted more, but I wanted more for the wrong reasons. I always wanted more.
Yeah.
This is not enough. Like the first, yeah, if I have a million, okay, if I have a 10 million, if my net worth is 50 million, when my net worth is 100 million, is this 200 million, you know, if now net worth is like, I'm going to be a first billionaire on the Forbes Polish billionaire, you know, it's always, but it was for the wrong reasons. So that's what I'm saying. I got lucky because I was doing this for the wrong reasons
Yeah.
and I did not fail. So
I
that's what
understand.
I'm saying. I'm being very grateful and I always have faith. But it's funny, I always had faith in a because I was Catholic, so it's I was very embarrassed of what all the stuff is going on in the Catholic Church. So I was always like kind of hiding, but I always had a
Mm.
faith, but I was kind of like praying, but not praying. I wasn't telling people that I'm praying, I'm meditating, you know what I
Mm.
mean?
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying that I got lucky. Uh Now, not 2 years ago, because well, look at what I accomplished. I want to get the credit. So, I got wow, oh my God, he's this. Now I don't care if I'm good, like like it's now I don't want to be judged by what I have, but who I am and the
Yeah.
people around me and how much I help, how many people are inspired and how many people I can help and how many people mostly if I did not wake up on the right side of the bed, then that day, I wouldn't be here. I would be the statistic, 545,000 men a year.
Yeah.
We would not have the conversation right now, brother.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're here. And we're here.
Yeah.
And like I tell people, I went through life emotionally unaware till I was 46 since my, ski accident. That's the first time I was like, wait a minute, I don't like these feelings and emotions. What is going on? And like, how did I go through life completely unaware of it?
Hmm.
Being successful, being on the top of the one, because one mountain doesn't make you anything. Being financially very, it doesn't make it doesn't bring the happiness.
Yeah.
And it's funny, like people want the happiness. In order to be happy, you need to be unhappy. In
Yeah.
order to be happy, you have to go through depression. You
Yep.
got to go through the pain. You got to go through anxiety. So when you are happy, the happiness is a lot bigger because it's
Yeah.
a yin yang, you know what I mean? So let's get the good energy, but we also need the bad energy and the bad energy, but let's create the bad energy ourselves. Shit, I don't want to do this. I don't want to wake up this morning. I don't want to work out. I don't want to freaking jump in the freaking cold plunge, motherfuckers, 50 degrees. I'm not doing this shit. Just let's create the bad. So the good is like, oh, it's how nice it's to sit and drink coffee right now. I deserve this
Yeah.
shit. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
So
So the
important.
comfort is so important to even when something really like for me, I have only lessons from the bad experiences. Even though that it's painful when I think about it. Like I go every morning to the ritual and I go through the pain. When I tried to commit suicide, when I lost, the relationship with my kids for a year, when I got divorced, when I almost got bankrupt in 2008, I went through all those pains. When I 2020, 21, like I want to kill myself. And like, so I'm crying. So I go through the pain in the morning. So then when something really happened during the day, it's very like hard. It's not as hard as this morning I did it. It's
Yeah.
I did it a lot more. This is only one, I mean, what we're dealing with, I just lost a deal, let's say, you know what I mean? For
Yeah.
let's say X amount of money. I don't want to just throw numbers here. So it's we gotta do that because in order to be happy, like you can't just be happy. It's like if I give you, like you buy a car or buy a jet, you cannot buy a jet every single freaking day. You're gonna get sick of the jet, or you're gonna get sick of the lobster and steak. After 30 days, I throw like I want a shitty hamburger from McDonald's. You know what I mean? We need
Yeah.
that. We need that.
Perspective, right?
We
Like
need
the
perspective.
duality of life is an important thing because it creates
Yeah,
context and meaning to things that if you only saw one perspective, you wouldn't give any meaning to the other side. Like you
exactly.
said, right? I mean, without love, you got to experience hate. Without happiness, you got to experience sadness. Those are all, I think, as you said, key things to keep in mind. And obviously, that's served you on your journey as you've continued to expand and evolve yourself. For those that are looking to get to that first milestone of wealth, and just talking about that outer, that outer kind of key point for a lot of people, For me, I know it's been a game of stamina and a game of grit and endurance. You know, it's not always the smartest, fastest, and strongest people who win. It's just the people that don't give up. Talk about like your perspective around the timeline and the outlook people should have when it comes to running this game in wealth building and in life. Like what should people be keeping in mind while they're playing this game?
I know you don't want to talk about the inner health and the inner game and the inner wealth. I know you don't. I know this.
I would love. I'm more than happy to talk about that if that's where you want
I
to
know,
stay.
but I tell always people, if you want to get there, you get a lot faster when you go alone. A lot faster. Like there's no question that's gonna get there like that. When you focus, like you really like fuck everything and just stay in the tunnel. And I always say motivation. I don't believe in motivation. I don't at all. Like really, motivation doesn't exist. You know, you can go to seminar, and then come back home and it's still the same. You know, it's like my trainer goes like, Jarek, you are different than any of my clients. We train for an hour and you take an hour of training for 23 hours of a day. My clients train for an hour and that's it. They've done it. And for next 23 hours, they fucking do fucked up shit. They eat shit. They don't do shit. They drink shit. They you know what I mean? You take the training and you take the training for 23 hours. So when I show up 24 hours later, it's more, and it's just kind of like rebuilding. So that's number one. Whatever you do it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the most important is you can go faster when you go alone. But if you freaking find a tribe, fuck, you go a lot farther. You cannot, and you do faster because what happens is you don't have the weights. You know what I mean? Carry, helping here. But by the help somebody else, in the future, you get the other help and you learn the skills that you needed in order to get farther.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? You're gonna reach the level alone that what is next. And that's you get a lot, it's a lot better to do it with somebody else.
Yeah.
And endure the bad stuff, the bad times. Like love it. Just learn to love, be uncomfortable. Just and do it, because a lot of us stop, and I want to stop. You know, because it's like, shit, I've been doing this for so long. Like, let me trade it, let me do it differently. And when we stop, that's where the progress starts. And then, you know, quickly we go to the wrong door. So just keep opening all the doors, look in them, see if you like it or not. But don't go too far the wrong door, because it's gonna take a while to come back.
Yeah.
So just keep opening all the opportunities, but stick at what you do. And just the biggest for me was educating myself, because, you know, until you don't know what you don't know, you're screwed.
Yeah.
And you're gonna ask better quality questions. So just surround yourself with people, go educate yourself, open books. And a few years ago, one of my coaches was like, yeah, you spend millions of dollars on seminars. You know, their seminars are for free. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's like, you love to read, just read those books. Seriously? But what happened is we can now read. We have access with the internet. We have access to everything. That's why younger and younger kids get quicker. That's why my message is so important, because I retired at the age of 28. But this is getting now with all the young kids, with all the social media and everything else, with access on the internet, younger kids, younger men. Again, I'm not discriminating against women. Okay, I'm just speaking as a man.
Yeah, right.
Younger people are getting wealthier and wealthier, so they're gonna reach my point very quickly. So the awareness got to come with that as well.
Yeah.
But there's answers everywhere.
Well, I got two questions for you.
Mm-hmm.
One, to stay on this, you know, the inner wealth game, because I know that's your space right now. Why continue to play the outer wealth game when you've already won that game, and why not just focus 100% on the inner wealth game?
I don't think you have to play the outer game anymore. It doesn't bring you happiness. But what happened is, it's funny. A year ago, my office calls me. It's like, you know, they know, Jarek, how you hyper focused you are. We're still here. We still need you. But you're gonna use the hyper focus now on social media, writing books, going in there. It's like, you're not fucking leaving us. You staying. So it's you have it's the stuff doesn't fulfill you anymore, doesn't give you the purpose. But what happened is, at the end of the day, you still need financial freedom, and unfortunately, you get used to the lifestyle too. Let's not lie here, okay? Like money doesn't bring happiness, but definitely brings you freedom and freedom of choices. And the most important, like I always tell people, money buys you time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't have to, if I want to fly to New York, I mean, 5 minutes, I'm on my jet, and then 2 hours later, I'm landing, I'm in the hotel. I don't have to go to the airport an hour and a half. I don't have to,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like, there's just like, and then 2 hours later, I can come back, I can do, meetings or podcasts. So yes, but there's no more out there wealth. It doesn't give you the fulfillment, doesn't give you anything. It's usually what happened is, what you know. And now that's funny. When you do the inner game, suddenly the outer game, it's completely like opportunities to start showing up. Like, I don't need more. Yeah, but can we do this? Can we do this? Like all this stuff is like abundance.
Mm-hmm.
Like the complete circle. But if you do it, I would like. And it's funny you said that, because I told her, like, my coach 2 weeks ago, I told him, it's like, do you think I was so concentrated on the inner wealth when I was young, I'd be broke because I don't need any of these toys?
That's my question.
Like, I don't need like any of this stuff. It doesn't like, and he goes, yep. I'm like, I don't need this. You have it. So it's you just used to your lifestyle. But when you find, when you don't have to prove the world who your worth, your worthiness and your enoughness, then unless you find a lot of very successful people, they find, because if my calling brings billions, I'm sorry, that's what it is.
Yeah, sure.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
because
no,
a lot of guys goes like, well, go find your calling and do that. Well, but that doesn't make you money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I got in real estate in apartment buildings, C-class apartment buildings, because I was treated like shit. And I'm like, I'm not gonna be the slim landlord. And I never look at money. I always look at the units more, help more people, and that bring me money. So I never look at the money, but I was always hungry. I'm not I'm not gonna bullshit anybody. I was always hungry. I want 1 million. I want 10 million. I want 100. I was always hungry. Always. And how do you bring the hunger to your kids that always have it?
Right.
Because I never have it.
Yeah.
And that's what you bring them. Because when they have the strength inner, they will know what to do and how to act, and and find the fulfillment from. And it's hard to work to walk two mountains, the financial mountain for the money, and it's like the inner mountain.
Right.
It's hard. It's not easy.
Yeah.
And we men, we cannot multitask. You know that. You and man, we do one thing. So that's why do the tunnel. There's a stage of your life. Do this one. It's a stage of your life. You know what I mean? But don't forget. Look at how many men like, oh my God. If I have the kids now, when men get older, it's like, oh shit, I spend so much time with my kid now. With the youngest the kids, the more I spend. I didn't spend any time with my two daughters. And of course, then when the divorce happened, I paid for it.
Yeah.
With the youngest ones, I asked their mom, it's like, hey, I retire. It was like third time, fourth time. I retire. I promise I'm never gonna go back to work. I mean, to my businesses. I retired. Can we have 2 more kids? Because I did not spend the time with my kids. And then we have 2 more kids. So the wisdom comes. It's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and I appreciate you coming on and sharing so transparently, right? Because this is how people learn from other people's mistakes, from other people's successes. I was around a lot of wealthy people, a couple billionaires, and I saw that they had all the money in the world, but most of them would say that they would give almost all of it back just to go back and spend more time with their kids, And for me, there was a quote that always stood out to me that I love, which is, are you a family man with a business or a businessman with a family? And there's a difference there. because there's a lot of guys that are businessmen with families and they say they're doing it for their families, but they're not present with their kids. They're not giving them intentional time. They're not teaching them. They're not creating those memorable experiences, that legacy, right, that we talked about.
I can tell you, bullshit. They never did this for family. We did this for ourselves, for our ego.
Yeah, right.
We are selfish. I know I'm not supposed to curse, but we selfish motherfuckers.
Oh, you can say whatever you want.
We selfish motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I did this for my wife. I did this for my kids. Bullshit. I did this for myself. I did this for my own ego.
Yeah.
To build my worthiness, my enoughness. This is like to prove the world who I am. It's bullshit.
So as we wrap up, then what do you say to the person that wants it all? They want that, $500 million or billionaire status, but they also want to be a great husband, a great father. They want to, have good mental health, good physical health. Can you do it all?
No. Good luck. Teach me that. Teach me. I'm being honest. Teach me that. Teach me that. Teach me that. Seriously.
Yeah.
It's not easy, because what happened is something's got to give. And it's funny, we all want balance, but at some point, something always going to give up.
Always.
Because what happened is, let's say priorities. It's when the priorities give, because you kind of looking, this direction, all the other stuff, even though you set it up, you have a good team, you have a good people working, but you're still not looking here, and that thing is dropping a little bit. Of course, you get a red flag when it dropped too much. Oh my God, whoa. Oh my God, my body, I did not run, I did not do the biking. Oh my God, look at, I gained 2% body fat. What the hell? You know what I mean? Or I get underweight. You're losing the perspective. We need balance. I want balance. Fuck, is it possible? Yeah. And I have people around me. I have coaches. I have people in my home to do everything. It's. I mean, I even schedule the podcast. It's like, I like to pick up my kids. I just like to do that. Yeah. But if I'm telling you, if like Joe Rogan calls me, it's like, well, we're doing the podcast at 3:00, motherfucker, my kids, I'm doing this, my kids. You know what I mean? Yeah, I get it. The same thing when I have a freaking deal and suddenly, this guy's coming from Chicago, but this is my week with my kids, but he's coming only 2 weeks in Miami, Jarek, and it's like, with money, probably no, I will not do it. Yeah. But this is my kind of like a new perspective, or it's like, this guy wrote this book, this guy, then, we kind of twig. And the same thing, I don't know, I'm in a new relationship in the last 5 years, and I have a queen of my life, and I'm very in love. It's funny. I know what is important, but honey, I'm running late for dinner, 30 minutes. But yet I will not do to somebody else. Do you know what I'm saying? Right. It's like, hey, this meeting, it's like, she will understand. We pushing, even with the kids just came in. It's like, guys, I need you for an hour. Like, I'm gonna be here. You know what I mean? And it's not easy. Yeah. We want balance because balance is good. But again, you cannot I'm going back yin yang. If you have a balance all the time, you're not gonna be happy. It's gonna be, you're gonna be this happiness with the happiness, and then the happiness because it's a thin line. Right. Between being happy and miserable, between love and hate. It's a very thin line, being rich and poor. It's a thin line. You know what I mean? It's so we got to be careful. So a lot of people obviously want to know more about you, your brand. We didn't even get to talk about real estate today and building your portfolio and all that kind of stuff, which I know we got some monks that are happy and listening, but they want to figure out how to make money. So that might be another episode. But that being said, for those that want to check you out, you got a lot of great stuff on your website, social media, your book, content, all kinds of great stuff. Where's the best place for them to learn more about you, Jarek? Everything on Instagram, on my YouTube channel, JarekTadla.com. That's the best way. And for anybody who wants to make money, just don't stop. Just keep grinding and find people, go to seminars. And I keep telling you, just go to seminars and pay people to surround themselves with. And just look for people that inspire. There's a lot of access to all those people online. Just don't stop. Don't stop. Jarek Tadla, thanks for coming on the show today, brother. Thank you.